Some of the most iconic art from Japanese culture features towering, menacing waves, a symbol of the deep relationship Japan has with the ocean, a force to both fear and trust. And when you dig up the coastline of Japan, you'll find legends. Here's one. It dates back to the 13th century. The Mongolian Empire was rapidly expanding under Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan. By 1270, he ruled over modern-day Mongolia, Siberia, China, and Korea. Naturally, next on his hit list of conquest was Japan, defended by the samurai warriors. First, he sent 40,000 men on 900 ships to the shores of Hakata Bay, Japan. But just as they neared land, a powerful typhoon struck, sinking and drowning about a third of the fleet. The survivors limped home. Okay, Kublai Khan regrouped, amassing now 100,000 men on 4,000 ships. He built this fleet in barely a year's time. Does that seem like a lot of time to build well-constructed ships for seas that experience typhoons? Nevertheless, he launched again, this time from both the shores of China and Korea, planning to rendezvous on Hakata Bay once again. The samurai, outnumbered 2-1, braced for defeat. But then, another typhoon hit, and again, most of the fleet drowned, and those that did survive were then hunted down by the samurai. And thus was born the word kamikaze, which means divine winds. Legend says a retired emperor of Japan prayed for this gift from the gods. Let me take this time to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Kelsey Malloy. I'm an atmospheric scientist. I study weather and climate. But today, I'm less of a scientist and more of a storyteller, an amateur historian. Maybe when you think about climate, it feels like a background detail of your story. I want to challenge that. Today, I'm going to tell 3 different stories on how climate has played these different major characters in our human story and experience. In other words, it's always been the star of the show. So back to this first story. 2 massive typhoons a few years apart around the same location. Is that a coincidence? Maybe not. Geological records have indicated that typhoons may have been unusually common during this period around Japan. It's no wonder kamikaze or divine winds have inspired art and legend, and why, during World War II, the Japanese revived the term. In this story, climate is the fiercest samurai warrior, protecting this island nation from conquest. We also see a contrast. Japan respected its nature, while Kublai Khan underestimating it. He sent unfit ships into unknown seas during typhoon season, and he paid the price. So how many of you have tagged yourself on social media at a concert, a party, maybe even this event? Turns out that instinct to want to say I was there is timeless. Let me take you back to 16 to 1800s London, to the famous frost fairs. It was the place to be. You see, during some of the harshest winters, the Thames River often froze completely solid. And on this solid ice, people found they could play sports, they skated, they bowled, and this is London, so they drank at ice pubs. Over the centuries, each frost fair became increasingly more, how should I put this, elaborate. At the most spectacular events, people could watch horses racing, bears fighting, not condoned today, elephants parading across the ice. Kings, queens, even higher societies started to visit these frost fairs. In fact, I do think this could have been a pretty cool episode of Bridgerton. To mark the occasion, these huge printing presses were set up right on the ice, printing these souvenirs that you could take home, hang on your wall to say, heck yeah, you were there. The last frost fair happened in 1814, but the legend remains today. A main reason we have annual winter festivals with warm drinks, games, rows of vendor stalls dates back to these frost fairs. A main reason the Thames River sometimes froze solid was that this was part of a little ice age, a relatively cooler period likely caused by volcanic eruptions that deposited ash that reflected sunlight. This was also the same time as the Black Plague, worldwide drought and famine. Objectively, not a good time. But in this story, climate is the ultimate party host, turning their misery into celebration. And the Londoners, they're adaptable, resilient, making lemonade out of lemons, or in this case, making winter wonderlands out of ice ages. For this last story, let's look upwards to the clouds. Across cultures, clouds have meant many different things. In ancient Mesoamerica, clouds were divine gifts from the gods. Chak was a Mayan god who struck clouds to make thunder and rain. And rain was vital for growing their main crop, maize, and therefore was tied to the civilization's survival. In the ancient Middle East and Mediterranean, clouds instead meant creation, fertility, guidance. In Greek Orphic stories, the world emerged out of a cosmic egg shrouded in mist and clouds. In the Bible, the Israelites follow a cloud out of Egypt into the desert, into the Promised Land. Millennia later, in Shakespeare's Hamlet, Polonius and Hamlet debate whether a cloud looks like a camel, a weasel, no, a whale. What do you see here? In this way, clouds represent human perception itself. We see what we want to see. It makes sense that the way cultures viewed clouds depended on their climate. The Mayans, living with unpredictable rains, saw them as lifelines. In the drier Mediterranean, clouds are rarer, more elusive, representing the unknowable. Finally, in England, they have frequent fair weather clouds in the afternoons. This is perfect for daydreaming and letting the imagination run wild. Even today, clouds can represent similar concepts as well as new ones. Their destruction when we see them on satellite images of hurricanes, their inspiration when we brainstorm. They're the mysterious when we save a document on our computer to the cloud. They still shape how we feel and speak about the world. Hundreds of years from now, I wonder how this era will be told. What role is climate playing in today's story? Or maybe the better question is, what role are we playing in climate story? Because unlike the past, the winds are no longer divine, clouds are not unknowable, and I have a feeling a heat fair is not going to take off in the same way today. We've taken the director's seat ourselves, adding new characters, changing the plot fast in ways that we don't understand yet. In this future storytelling of today, are we respecting nature or underestimating it? Are we adaptable or rigid? Do the clouds represent the changing rain, swelling seas, a blessing amidst drought? Or maybe more symbolically, as the bright solutions that helped us overcome society's challenges? So tell me again, what do you see? Thank you.